Okay, good evening. Good evening to all. My name is Vivek Prakash and I welcome you all to this webinar, PMCP webinar, Project Managers Club of Pune webinar. And this is we are doing after 2 months of gap. And so apologize to all the people who were waiting for this webinar to happen and they eagerly participating. And probably they were missing it for last 2 months. But unfortunately, the COVID hold something which opening up now, and there are a lot of events happening. And unfortunately, all the people who coordinate for these were busy in their own events. And generally, these quite engaging events, especially in India, called wedding events, actually. So therefore, we couldn't organize last 2 months. So we are back here again with this and hope you will enjoy this one. And this time I have bought Mr. Mahesh Deosthale, and he is a fantastic figure, actually. I'm working with him almost for more than 20 years now. So we known to each other and worked on couple of projects and a kind of colleague now for various things as such, on various projects as such. He has over 25 years of experience in IT, a hardcore IT person, has worked on various aspects of IT. Okay, and he has a very wide experience. Especially working with a lot of international clients in either it is USA, UK, or say Australia, Singapore, South Africa. I think you put your eyes on one side of the world and you will find a country where Mahesh has worked. He has been in development, testing, managing a lot of projects, and especially in IT consulting and digital transformations and quality related things. So very diversified experience. And you are looking that today he is coming here with the critical thinking subject. So a lot of human aspects also, which actually he has expertise in. He's training young talents, young to, I say experienced talent as such, from one-to-one mentoring to coaching to giving training, etc. His core thing is project and program management. And he has expertise in Microsoft projects. And I often depend on him for doing work on Microsoft project, or especially taking assignments on that. So very wide experience, and I'm sure he's going to share his thought with his own experience on critical thinking, and you will enjoy. Please, he has, I think, couple of, he needs your the participation as such in the program. So please participate and involve yourself, and I'm sure you will enjoy this session. Over to you, Mahesh.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for that introduction. And I think I'll just get into the subject. Okay. Okay. I hope you all can see my screen now. Right. Yes, what I would request is a lot of things, a lot of inputs or discussions from you. Though I come from IT, this is not specific to any technology or process, anything like that. This is a very common subject, and because it is so common, it is very often neglected or given very less importance, right? And today we'll try to look at the subject of critical thinking from a little bit of funny side of it, a little bit of techniques side of it, and then there are some 4 5 places wherein I would like to interact with you. Of course, you can chat, or possibly if you have something to share, stop me and just get unmute, and we can have a few words exchange there also. And then towards end of it, we'll play a small game. Actually, again, that's a very common game. I am trying to twist a little bit just to accommodate that game on the Zoom platform, but I am sure you would enjoy that. So the more you question, the more you participate. I think that will make this thing very interesting. Right?
So let me add into this. I'm watching the chat box. So wherever you have questions, please put them into the chat box, and Mahesh will take this up. I will facilitate that question answer session as such.
Thank you, sir. Right. So the title goes like, think about how you think. So we are going to talk about the process of thinking. Now, since when we start doing the process of thinking? I think even before we are born, right? The minute we get the life into us, we start thinking. Correct? Uh, as just a newborn baby, also we think about something. We try to recognize the faces. We try to recognize the touch, the smell, and then the growth starts, and then we continue thinking every day, every moment. Even at this minute, while I'm talking, I'm thinking. While you are listening, you are thinking. So this is something like breathing. Correct? Uh, of course, there are some other ways of, say, meditation or yoga, wherein you stop your stressful thoughts. You attempt to stop your stressful thoughts. That's another part of it. But thinking is something what happens uh, by default all the times with everybody. What we will look today is how should we think to make our professional, personal life, social life a much better place. This thinking, it will lead to the way you communicate. The way you communicate will lead to the responses from people with whom you communicate, and that could be anybody. That could be your boss, your family, or anybody. So their responses would also depend indirectly on how you think, because your thinking will drive the way you communicate, the way you present the things. So this aspect is everywhere, and maybe that is because it is not that greatly focused. But let's today try to get into at least one level deeper into this, right? So we will understand what is critical thinking, how do we do it, what are the challenges that we will face while we go on this thinking improvement path. What will be the tools that we can use so that we can get better and better into this. So let us start with this. Okay, I'll just skip this slide. I'm going here now. Okay, hold on. Just give me a moment. Yeah, I need to adjust for the clear view here. Right. So what is thinking, and what are the types of thinking? So thinking, as you start asking questions and seek answers, you are thinking. So as I said, even a newborn baby would have the questions, right? And that is what they think. They try to get the answers through touch and through smell till the time the growth happens. Thinking is a purposeful, organized process that we use to make sense of the world. And so why we think? We are trying to make the sense of the world. Why my boss behaves like this, right? Why my brother-in-law behaves like this? Okay. Why this political scenario? What can I do in the time of recession is what everybody is talking nowadays. So what can I do? So we are thinking continuously. There is a purpose behind our thinking. We try to organize our thoughts as much as possible, and the ultimate aim is to make the sense. Now, in other words, if I have to put it, then we are trying to solve the problems and make some better decisions. That is what we are trying to do with our thinking. Right? So with the left brain, which we use for critical thinking, and the right brain, which we use for creative thinking. Right? You must be knowing some people who are very creative. They don't go into the 2 plus 2 4, but they will draw some very nice pictures, animations, etc. So kind of creative people. On the other hand, there will be some very logical people who would continuously keep on asking the questions, probing the matters, and then sometimes even irritate other people. But if we look at it, we need both of this, okay, to succeed or to find the answers, make better decisions. We need both of this, right? And then if you look at this picture or thing on the right side bottom, the critical thinking and the creative thinking. So if I want to solve a problem, or if I want to get to a better decision, what I need to do is first analyze the problem, recognize it, analyze it. What is my problem? Then if I am only a critical thinker, what would happen is I will start thinking about, or I will jump into planning a solution to that. All right. If I do that, what I'll be missing is imagining different possible options, imagining different possible outcomes, possible solutions. Now this comes, or here comes the imagination part, which is of the creative thinking, which will like my right brain will help me doing that. So here, rather than following one part of your brain, left or right, what we need to do is make a combination of that. So you analyze, or you start analyzing a problem. Once you do that, once you get at least a bit of the information about what that problem is, you start thinking about the possible solutions. When you find a good or an best fit or an optimal solution in that given situation, you start, what will happen if I implement this, right? So that again is a creative thinking part. Then with that imagination, possibly or probably you will get to evaluate that solution, that approach, whatever you have decided. You will be able to evaluate how much benefit I will get it if I follow this approach. Immediately you can look into the next question, that can I improve this? So again, go back to whiteboard and look if there is another way, or if I can make some tricks and twists here in the same approach to make it further better. So after this cycle, then you probably implement the solution. Right? So there are two types of thinkings: critical, creative, with left brain, right brain. And with a combination of this, what we are trying to achieve is solving the problems or making better informed decisions. Okay. And as I speak, you can keep thinking of any situations in your professional or in your personal life as well. And you would find this is what exactly, or this is how exactly we do. Okay. And we'll take some examples also. Correct. Now, with this very brief introduction, I would request you to type 2 or 3 words in the chat window. What does this critical thinking mean to you? So you must have read the subject earlier also. Now you heard me giving a very brief idea or introduction of this. So what does it mean to you in your all the experience so far? Maybe 2-3 words here. That's also good. So if you can type that in the chat window, we'll take a thread from there and before we go ahead. So anything that strikes your mind when you hear critical thinking, or when you heard this problem solving or decision making. Okay, structured approach to problem solving based on scenario. Okay, I understand it. This is similar as DMAC, okay, or PDCA. Okay, multiple options. So maybe evaluating multiple options with available data, taking a right decision at a given time. Considering all parameters and look for solution, fast thinking for solutions. Okay. Scenarios. Yes. This is again something very interesting. Scenarios and a pinpoint approach to problem solving. Okay. Okay. Uh, Evaluating various criterias or options. Okay. Fair enough. And going deep down into any matters by finding out answers of questions. Okay. Always think positive in each condition. Okay. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much. And as we go forward, you will realize, you will see that all these points which crossed your mind, they are applicable. They will come into picture when uh, we'll learn this process, when we'll get familiar with this process in more details, right? So let's go to the next slide. Right. So what is not critical thinking? And there are these two funny pictures I could pick. So this guy is thinking that I remembered which side of the branch to sit on, but I forgot about the ladder. A fantastic example of which is not a critical thinking.
He's better than Kalidas, actually.
Right. And then this guy is cutting off the thread, but then without knowing or without realizing that there is something is what is going to hit him, right? So this is not critical thinking. Now, what do we understand from this picture is you need to look into your current scenario, your current situation, as well as you need to imagine what will be the situation, how the situation will turn if I take a particular action, if I implement a particular solution. And if I go back to this slide, this is what exactly we did, or I spoke about. So you need to imagine as well while you are critically asking the questions or evaluating some situation or trying to find the answers. Correct. So just a light humor there. I think somebody. Okay. Okay. All right. So when to say I am thinking? When can I say that I am thinking? When I have clarity, right? And how will I get the clarity? With a lot of details and examples, right? So somebody mentioned about the scenarios, different scenarios, right? So yes, we need scenarios, we need examples, which will give us the clarity. Then there needs to be accuracy, right? I cannot just go on go in my dream world. Though I'm going to imagine some solution, I need to have some facts, some figures, some real life situations behind that to back it up. Then I need to be precise in my thinking, very specific. So if I'm thinking about changing my career line, right, I need to, answer a lot of questions, and those questions need to be very specific. If I'm saying that, okay, I want to change my career line now, after IT I'll get into something else, maybe an entrepreneur or something, then I need to be very precise in coming up with the options and evaluating those options, right? Then it needs to be relevant also. So I have zero experience in catering business. And then if I'm thinking that, oh, I'm bored with IT, it's 25 years and I want to retire, and then I'll open a restaurant. Is there any relevance in what I'm doing today over a period of time, what skills I have built, how can I sustain in future in these two things? So I need to build a lot of relevance, right? I need to get into the depth of the situations, and both the situations, my current situation and my imaginative futuristic situation, which I'm trying to portray with different options and pros and cons of those. Of course, I need to have the breadth also for all my point of views. A very important point is I need to have a very strong logic behind it. Okay, why I'm thinking about a particular thing. Okay, what are the triggering factors? How does my solution approach or futuristic options that I'm doing? I need to have a very logical way of thinking it with the facts and figures, right? I need to be fair. If I'm making a decision which is going to impact my entire team or my entire family, I need to be fair with the people who are going to get impacted, right? And I need to, bring the significance. I should be able to define that significance, that purpose, that objective very clearly. If I'm doing all this,
absolutely affordable to you. So call us streaming on 97.
hello. I'm sorry. I thought somebody is not able to hear. So if I'm bringing all these aspects or all these characteristics to my thinking, then I would be able to say that, yes, I'm thinking. I'm yet not thinking very critically, or I haven't mastered the act of that, but I have started thinking, right? What are those? The clarity factor, the accuracy, the precision in my thoughts, the relevance of my thoughts to the current and the future, the depth, breadth of very, fact-based, research-based, figures-based logic. I need to be fair with everybody involved. And then, I need to have a significance or the purpose or the objective defined there. Right. So if I'm following this, I can say that I am thinking, and possibly, I can take up my journey towards uh, critical thinking or learning the critical thinking. Right. A very small exercise again. You pick up an important aspect presently running in your life. Okay. See, I don't have a background. Maybe most of you may not have the background of each other's aspect that you probably would choose. But just list down 3 thoughts. Okay. Now you need to list down maybe 1, 2, or 3 thoughts of that particular aspect. Okay. Uh, don't try to write something very long or lengthy. Don't get into that mode, but just 3 thoughts. Now, it may be it's difficult to change my career line. I'm worried about the recession which is in the news, or anything. It could be a cricket match, it could be a football match, a football World Cup that happened, whatever. Let that situation, let that aspect be important to you, and then you list down maybe a couple of thoughts or maybe 3 thoughts. Right. While you think, there is a question: are we thinking when we are feeling? Yes, we are thinking when we are feeling. Now, let's say I'm happy. Right. So I'm happy about something. Let's say I got promoted and I'm happy. But while I'm feeling this happiness, I'm also thinking a lot about this trigger that has happened. Okay. I'm thinking about the financial aspects. I'm thinking about, my corporate game, which will get a power up with this promotion. I'm thinking about, some constraints or some downsides of it. Maybe in many jobs with the promotion comes the transfer. So, oh, okay, I got a news, I'm promoted. But then that triggers a thought of, I'll get transferred. So again, while I'm feeling some emotions, yes, I am thinking. So it's like a very reflex action which keeps on happening. And again, there are some aspects to this, which is like there is a thinking which is happening primarily in or in my primary mind. Right. And then there is something which many counselors or psychologists, they call it as a chatterbox, which keeps on happening uh, as a secondary thought in my mind. So on the face value, I'm experiencing happiness, but in my chatterbox, there might be some questions which are being probed. My own mind is probing those questions. So again, coming back to the question, yes, while I'm feeling something, I'm thinking, right? Okay, so future professional career and retirement planning for financials. Correct. Okay, these two thoughts. Then learn social media marketing, increase business using social media, start new venture. Correct. Studies, projects, placements. Okay, Kunal. So you're studying something. That's great. Then Atul says entrepreneurship, current company progress, time management. So maybe you're thinking of uh, diversifying your career, and that's probably what are these. That is what is triggering these thoughts. Career growth, financial freedom, social working. Now, see again, you are aware about uh, social giving back to the society. So you're thinking about that also. Okay, so taking risks, risk on next career move, right? So that is what is currently happening as something important, and then you are thinking about it, right? Uh, do you see? Okay, do you see it here? What is happening is you are listing down the aspects or the triggers. Okay, what we need to do now is get into your thoughts, right? We need to get into the thoughts behind it. So I'll just take the latest one. Okay, so Ashutosh says taking risk on next career move. Okay, this is the situation. This is the aspect. What are the thoughts behind this? Why you want to sorry, take a risk, and or why you want to even make a career move? And if you want to make a career move, why you think there is going to be the risk behind that? Okay, what are those aspects? What are those situations which and what are those thoughts behind this? Because this is kind of an aspect to this, correct? But still, good inputs, and this is how uh, getting into the depth and breadth of thinking starts. So this is just the first level. This is just the first step, the first baby step to list down the scenes or the aspects or the scenarios, situations in your life, the important ones, right? Now, where do you list down? Uh, in my experience, 90 to 95% of the people would list it down in their minds. Okay, and that is what a mistake that happens. If you're really looking at something very important to you, then you need to list down that particular problem on the paper, or maybe even on some electronic media. But writing it down and not keeping it only in mind with the assumption that I will remember every aspect, every dimension and thought of for this problem. uh, don't assume that. Okay. Oh, this is great. So today's thought is how tomorrow's budget will help in current year financial planning. I'm sorry. So this is and this is an that important aspect is what you have messaged here. As a next step, what you need to do is you need to go into the level of thoughts, correct? So but still, this as this first thing, let's move ahead and look at what next we can do. Okay. uh so there is a tricky situation here. I don't have any magic wand. Nobody has this. And even there is no single definition of critical thinking. Okay. You just Google it and you will find so many different definitions. And the one I like the most was by, Kopoman. He says the highest form of critical thinking, a person disagreeing with himself or herself. Okay. Now imagine a situation. There is a problem. I have taken into consideration all the aspects. I have gathered the facts and figures and did my research. I used all those characteristics of thinking. I have put those around the problems. I'm reaching to a solution. Okay, I'm reaching to a decision. And then equally critically, I am disagreeing with myself. Now, as per him, this is the highest form of critical thinking. And uh, uh, if you attend that, then I'm very sure there will be many people around you who would start calling you a crazy person. But still, this is very interesting uh, to see that I am disagreeing with myself. Okay. Right. Then while we are on this journey, we also need to understand what are the pitfalls, what are the things that we should avoid. Right. The first one is ego. Okay. A lot of Hindi movies with Khandan ki izzat, and that is nothing other than the ego. Okay. A lot of bosses you might have seen or experienced, they will come with uh, a very high intense ego. All right. So please don't get into the ego. You have to keep your mind, ears, eyes, heart open when you get into the discussion or into the process of solving any problem or trying to make a decision. Now, why these two things are different? Because while you are making a decision, it is not always that you are trying to solve a problem. Okay. We'll go there a bit later. Right. So first thing is the ego. So you will have to keep your ego out of the room. With ego anywhere near around you, you will not be able to make rational decisions. You will not be able to make any logical arguments. Okay. You will not be able to hear or listen other people with an open mind. So keep the ego aside. Then second thing is group thinking. Okay. So there is a mob mentality, what we call it as in a general day-to-day terms, right? So avoid that. If you start getting into that group thinking, you are definitely going to have the biases, because every group, every mob, uh, and for whatever the reason they may have come together, but they will have a bias. Okay. As I'm talking, please try to imagine anything and everything, from political, from financial, from personal, from professional, any situations, and just try to apply these things. And I'm very sure you will find a lot of relevance there, or you'll find there is a lot of sense there, right? The next thing is, don't make the assumptions. A lot of times we make the assumptions. Correct. We make the assumptions about people. We make the assumptions about certain situations. So I always give an example of X, Y, and Z axis. So time factor, person, and situation. So just imagine three axes. One is time, one is person, and one is a situation. You move even a single place on any of these three axes, the outcome will change. If the person is different in a given situation at a given time, the outcome will change. Right? If the time changes, like what happened 1,000 years back, if if there is the same person and same situation, but still the outcome would differ, because something what happened 1,000 years back is not going to happen now. Right? So time, person, and situation, X, Y, Z axis, and all our assumptions will fail if we try to put these assumptions on any of these axes. Then avoid wishful thinking. And trust me, we do a lot of wishful thinking. Without getting into the situation rationally, logically, sympathetically. We just do a wishful thinking. I crave for something, I wish for something, and then I start thinking, oh, this should happen, this should happen. But then I don't look at the other sides of the situation. Right? Relativism. Okay, this can be because the truth is different from what we know to be true. Okay, in our Upanishads, there are two terms used very frequently. One is Ruta and one is Satya. Satya, we know that's a truth. Ruta, from which the word Rutu is defined, or it has evolved, which means something changes, but to change that, it takes some time. Correct. So we need to differentiate between what I know. Is it true? Is it the Satya? Is it the fact? universal fact across the time horizon, or is it just applicable and true for that given situation, for that given time, for that given people? So we need to avoid this relativism. Then there is a very famous concept of confirmation bias. Okay, this is when we are not inclined to accept a new idea or truth because it doesn't conform to our own thinking. Okay, and again, if I'm sure everybody, if you just go back to your childhood, your school and college days, and you might have, expressed something different than what your family tradition used to be. And I'm sure you must have faced, a reluctance or, a strict no from your, elderly people in the home or in the family, right? Because uh, they haven't tried it, they haven't explored it, they haven't seen the pros and cons of it. There is a possibility that there will be a bias in that, right? And then the last part comes is poor communication. Okay, in most of the corporate life situations, what happens is people focus on a lot of communication improvement, whereas that is the last factor that we should focus on communicating. Because when we try to avoid all these above mentioned things, the last one by default improves. Okay, so these are the things that we should avoid it. Okay.
Mr. Mahesh,
Yes,
just a moment.
sure,
Questions.
sure.
Maybe in subsequent slides you might be covering those topics. Otherwise, maybe we can discuss. See, there are 20 types of different thinking defined by different books or different authors or different researchers. So, as an individual, how do I decide that which type of thinking I should adopt in a particular situation? That is one dilemma
Okay.
that normally people faces.
Okay.
The second question is, let's say critical thinking, we put it at level 3, for example,
Okay.
a higher order thinking. Then normal thinking, which is, we can say, level 2. And level 1 or level 0 is no thinking. I mean, someone is taking a quick instant decision without thinking on that particular topic. So how do individuals decide that in this particular situation, should I make instant decision? Should I think, or should I critically think?
Okay.
How much time one should invest? And when a person can, suppose individual has decided that, okay, let me do critical thinking, and then starts collecting some inputs, data, etc. So when can an individual decides that, yes, I have now enough data, and now it's time to take a decision with the critical thinking? That was question number 2.
Okay.
Question number 3. Because these
Okay,
questions might
I'm
be
sorry.
looked at in a way.
I'm sorry. Can we go one by one, or probably I will miss the questions then if you have something.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so just to answer the first one. Okay. Let's take an example of any game. Okay, be it football, be it cricket, be it boxing, be it lawn tennis, table tennis, anything, any game. Okay, you decide the game for yourself. Now, every game will have some techniques.
Right.
Correct. Now, while I'm learning the game for the as a beginner, as a fresher for the first time, I will get introduced to the techniques. Okay, but what happens over a period of time when I actually practice? That practice helps me to build the skills to use all these techniques,
right,
correct, together. And when I do a lot of practice, that becomes my reflex. Correct. There is a very famous video of 2 Japanese playing the table tennis. Amazing video, keeps on circulating on WhatsApp. I'm sure you must have also seen somewhere. So those 2 guys are so quick, so fast, and they are using almost every technique or every type of shot available in the table tennis. Okay. Now, how do they decide? For them, if you watch that clip, for them, it is a reflex action. The thinking also is the same. So I cannot say that, oh, I will do now critical thinking for next 15 minutes and I'm sitting down here. Or I cannot say that, okay, for tomorrow, I'm going to only stay focused on normal thinking or no thinking. I don't want to get into the critical thinking. We cannot do that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what happens here is the depth and the breadth part of critical thinking, the intensity of that thinking or the thoughts, will help you to make better decisions, or your decisions may be proven as poor one, not based on very informative or data availability, right? So there is nothing as a single pillar or single time frame wherein I can say that, oh, this is critical thinking. It is something which is happening by reflex, and that is why we often neglect this. And that is why we should not neglect this, but we should practice focusing more. It is like, our breathing techniques. Yoga teaches breathing techniques. So is it that we don't breathe? No, we breathe, but we neglect. So yoga teaches us breathing techniques. So similarly, initial days, you will have to, keep on reminding your mind that I need to avoid all these points, or I need to, utilize all the other points that I have seen while thinking before I make a decision. So you may have to remind this. Okay. And sorry, there is a slide ahead, and I'm sure many of you must have heard about REBT, which is a concept in human psychology. Okay. Rational emotic behavioral therapy. Okay. That teaches us how to take this pause between our two thoughts. While we are thinking, while we are working, while we are communicating, even then you can take a pause in your thoughts. Utilize that pause to gather the information, to see the risks, and to make the better decisions.
Okay.
Okay. Another very simple example is car driving or bike driving. Right? It's not that I say that, oh, there is somebody in now, coming in between. I need to apply the brakes. It becomes reflex. It becomes reflex.
That means everybody is doing critical thinking.
Absolutely everybody. That's what I said. Even a newborn is doing a critical thinking, because for him, understanding the smell, understanding the touch is very important.
So if everybody is doing critical thinking, and if the result is not favorable, that means the kind of input used in decision making or analysis might not be enough.
Yes, and then all these factors which you are looking at the screen, somewhere or the other, in a very high intensity or lower intensity, they are playing the part.
Okay. Okay. Another point: how do we explain risk versus reward in the context of critical thinking or a reflex behavior that you mentioned?
Okay.
Because everything has a risk and rewards together. So if someone goes on doing a lot of thinking and analysis, maybe they might miss the opportunity available at that time.
Correct.
If someone takes a very quick decision without doing proper analysis or 360-degree, input and analysis, then maybe they may be taking wrong decision.
Correct. So if any of these factors which are there on the screen, if you realize, or the moment you realize they are coming into picture, your risk is higher. Okay. You are increasing the risk for yourself. And when any of these factors, used very appropriately, and with some techniques which we'll be looking at a bit later, then your rewards will go on a higher side.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And the last question.
Sure.
In a company, CFO or CEO or highly professional, highly experienced people doing critical thinking, a lot of analysis, they may not be in favor of some investment or or going into or acquiring a company, and because their critical thinking and their analysis says that it is not a good decision, it's not a wise decision.
Correct.
But the owner, entrepreneur,
Hmm.
they listen to their inner voice. And even though critical thinking is saying that don't do this mergers or acquisition,
Correct.
but they say, no, my inner voice is saying me that I should do this.
Correct.
And maybe 80% of the time, those inner voices favors them. And those decisions taken by those entrepreneurs, and that's why we call them visionary entrepreneurs, that what we can't visualize.
Correct.
As a professional managers or a CEOs,
Correct.
these entrepreneurs are able to do it. So how do you explain this, that the decision taken by entrepreneur when their entire C club managers were against it, but those decisions are favorable?
Okay. So there is a very high risk this entrepreneur is taking if that is the situation. Okay, that's what one thing we can say. But then that person is avoiding the group thoughts.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if that person, I would say, is very well experienced or, is very well aware about the risks that he is taking, right? Then I would call that as an informed decision. Okay. So for example, let's say I'm the entrepreneur, and then there is, and then I have CFO, CIO, CEO, everybody, and all these CXO guys, they are saying that don't do this, whatever the XYZ initiative. But I'm still doing it. I'm still, going to push it on them. Correct. Then somewhere, yes, visionary, somewhere a very high risk taking person. And the number that you said, 80% of such kind of decisions, they are proven to be true. Maybe I find this number very high, but I think that's a subject for different discussion. But they are taking the risk, correct, and they are keeping these things away. They are not being egoistic. They are not being, they are avoiding the group thinking, right? There might be some assumptions that they want to put forward, but this all is happening, if this all is happening in a very informed way, wherein, the team explains, their point of view to the entrepreneur, and the person explains back to the team why he or she is feeling that, this needs to be done. And then if the decision is taken, that will be the informed decision with known risks. Now, if that happens, parallelly or sequentially, what happens is the risk gets monitored very frequently. Correct. And maybe that is the reason wherein, the number of, successful initiatives may be higher. Still 80% I find a bit higher, but yes. Now, Richard Branson, this guy, right? Virgin, the founder owner of Virgin group of companies, right? He is very famous across the industry for taking such decisions. Correct. In his childhood, he used to sell newspaper outside London station. Okay. He took some decisions, he took some risks, which, paid him off well. And that kind of institutional based decision making still continued. Correct. But that is how his risk appetite was. That is how, he sees the world. But then again, somewhere in his mind, he must have given a nice deep thought. Now, what happens is, let's say if I ask 3 kids to say a table of, say, number 6, the speed at which each of this kid will recite this is going to be different. Correct. Why? Because that is the speed at which their mind is recollecting that table of 6.
Right.
And I
Now,
think there are I think there are many aspects of thinking. Critical is just one of them.
One of it.
It is
Correct.
more critical. So what Ketan will be asking, there are many aspects we can discuss actually, probably,
Correct.
which to explain that phenomenon actually. May not be only critical thinking, probably may not be the part of it.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I hope I answered, and we can move.
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. Thank you. So that is fine. We heard about what is critical thinking, what we should do, what we should avoid, etc., etc. But where I apply this? Okay. So the highest applicability of critical thinking is problem solving, right? And when I'm using critical thinking to solve any problems, there are three things which will come into picture as the pillars of problem solving, and critical thinking is only one of it. Okay, I also need curiosity and I also need creativity. Okay, so these are the three soft aspects which, when get integrated, or which when used with this idea methodology, it will be a better solution for that problem, or informed solution. When I say informed, it means I know all the risks and the rewards in the approach that what I'm taking. Okay, so here idea is identification of the problem. D stands for definition, defining the context of the problem, right? This defining is very much required. As I said, having some thoughts in the mind is not going to help you much. Okay, putting those thoughts on the paper is definitely going to make a lot of change in the further actions in your the whole process. Okay, E is for exploring possible strategies or options. A is for acting on that best solution, what you think is best at that given point of time for that situation. And L is learning from your past. Again, that is also very important aspect when we want to have better solutions for the problems. All right. So the key applicability, or the first applicability of critical thinking, is into the process of problem solving. Okay. All right. But that is not a single application. Correct. As I said, that's the first one. But what and where you can apply the critical thinking while you are analyzing or explaining risks, designing, implementing any initiatives, allocating resources, managing your information systems, even hiring or promoting leaders, right? When they promote anybody to the leadership role, they also evaluate that person, and many companies do this. They also evaluate the person at the psychology level, at the level, in terms of how the person thinks, what is the emotional quotient of that person. So all that happens, and there are so many again tests and methods and ways available to find out how the person thinks. Correct. Now, and this list will continue. Okay, so we are going to go for one exercise. Okay, so let's assume your friend told you recently that job market in India will face huge challenges and recession will be at the peak in future. Okay, what was your first thought? You can note it, you can share it in the chat window also. So your friend, okay, so somebody you know, somebody you trust, they told you that the job market in India will face recession. So when you heard, when you actually hear this, or when you read this problem, what was your first thought? Just put in the chat window. Okay, I'm worried. Fair enough. People will lose jobs. Okay, validate the same in current business. To confirm the statement with, sorry, I'll just go a bit up. Okay, validate the same in the current business. Do the current job carefully. Correct. To confirm the statement. Okay, with media. Okay. Panic. Yes, that also could be, your thought when you hear this. Okay, source of information and how that will affect me. Correct. Loss of job, need to upgrade personally, education and learn new things. Correct. So do you see every person has different thoughts? Okay, or even their first thought of each one of you is different. Correct. Let's see why this happened. Okay, and what can we do about this? Now, with whatever your first thought is, okay, if you, so, and we saw that somebody said panic. So getting into the panic situation definitely is not good. Okay. Trying to confirm this with media, again, that will take some time, some days if you have the connects. And then again, how much that information would be is still going to be a question. Correct. So what should I do as my first response to this statement? Let's look at that. The first question that I should ask is, who said this? Okay. And our statement, our exercise statement or the problem statement, it clearly says here, your friend. So the person who said this is someone I know. That's very well. But the second question, is that person in the position of authority or power to make that statement? Now, because that friend is also into a job like me, I need to first see how much weightage should I give to this statement. Of course, it is coming from my friend, so I will trust him more than when it comes from a stranger. But is my friend in the position or in the does the person have the authority? If yes, then the game changes. If no, then the game changes. Correct. Now I should also ask a question to myself: does it matter who told me this? Okay. There is somebody who said, who showed empathy in their first thought. Okay, many people will lose the job. Correct. So in the case of, or in the thought of that person, it was not the own care, okay, or own concern or concern about the own job, but it was more of empathetic approach towards the others. Okay, so I need to ask whether does it matter to me, the question and the person, or sorry, the statement and the person who said this. So the first thing I should think about is who said it. Okay. Second thing is, what did he say? A very classic example, another example is in the rush hour, one car just touches another car, or one biker just touches the car. Okay. What happens? Both the drivers get down, get into the argument, all gali galoch. Okay. Are they even listening to what they are saying? Are they even looking at the situation, what happened there? Why that happened? What can be done? Both are covered with the insurance. It's just a scratch. Are they comparing the time that they are wasting in arguing there on the road? Forget about the other people. They are not even careful. They're caring about the others. But even the time that they are wasting their own time, is it important, or the thing that for what they had stepped outside is important, right? So what did he say is also something I need to look very carefully into. Did he give the facts or opinions? In case of this recession, he might have made a simple statement, read somewhere in some article, in some blog. There are no facts, to back this up. So it was just his opinion formed on the basis of something what he read or heard somewhere else. Okay. So what he said also was important. If he would have said a report by a research agency says that there will be X number of job loss in this year in India in this sector. Oh, okay. Whole lot of research or study has happened. Okay, then again we can get into the detail of authenticity of that study, how the research happened, etc., etc. But then at least on the first face value, there were some facts. Okay. Now the next thing is, where did he say it? Okay. Did he say it in public or in private? Okay. That is also not mentioned in the problem statement. Okay. Was there any chance to respond to that particular statement? That is also very important, because when you talk with a friend, or when your friend talks with you in private over a cup of coffee, it's completely different when somebody talks in public. Correct? So you need to ask this question also. When did he say this? Okay. Was there any triggering point? Was there any news clip which was played and you were sitting in a your home and discussing something, and then some news flashed and then he made this statement? Or was it a very serious meeting going on and some some theories, some facts, figures were being put up, and then he said this statement? It's again going to make a whole lot of a difference. A very important question comes next is, why did he say it? What was the purpose? Okay. Now I know a person who would keep on making this kind of statements. Okay. Initially I was being, or I used to take it very seriously. But then I realized, man, this person is making some statements wherein there is no base, right? Probably he just wants to share something, or he just wants to say something. There is no reason behind it. That's why he would have made a statement. Okay. Now, how did he say it? Was it happy, sad, angry, indifferent? Did he write this? Because saying something verbally and writing it down, again, it makes a whole lot of a difference. Right? So before giving any response, before coming to any conclusive thought, and that could be a good thought or a scary thought, before coming to any thought, take a pause, ask these questions to yourself, find the answers, and then respond. And your response will change drastically. Okay. Now, after asking these questions, do you want to put the thought in your mind for the same question? Maybe let's take a minute. I think we are almost an hour in the session. So let's take a minute only. Just put your now thoughts, the latest thoughts with this thing in your mind. Has it changed? Do you see any change if you ask these questions? Do you think there will be any change in your thought, which you had expressed earlier? Anything you want to express? You can message in the chat. Okay, fine. Probably let's move ahead then. Okay, there are some more real life examples. Okay, refer the following statements. Let us discuss and try. Okay, for Mangesh, it is becoming so confusing and tough to decide whether to get into corporate job or start an own business after completing MBA. Okay, now only read this first statement. I'll go back on this slide. Ask these questions. So who said it? It is not Mangesh who said it. It is somebody else who said it, that Mangesh is becoming so confusing. Okay, so this is some third person saying that. What did he say? Again, is there any statistics? He tried for 5 jobs, didn't get it. He tried for 3 businesses, didn't get it. No, there is no statistics. Okay. Where did they say? When did they say? What was happening? Was somebody, praising Mangesh, or was somebody, trying to pull Mangesh down? When did they say this? Why did they say it? And how did they say it? Correct? Just apply these questions in all these situations. Okay. There is one more example given here. Last one. A group of students designed and developed a prototype of automated road sweeping machine which runs on solar power. Okay. You need to evaluate the project for its feasibility to take into market as a commercial product. Evaluate this on the questions given on the next slide. So this is another way of applying critical thinking to the given problem statement or to the given solution. I'm sorry, to the given situation. Okay. Now the situation is different. Now there are a group of students who have designed, some machine, and now they want to go commercial. So what questions you will ask? You will ask, what is the category of this project? Okay, do they want to make it private? Do they want to sell it to the government? So what is the category? What is the problem statement that they are trying to solve by this product? Again, very important. What is the purpose? What is the problem statement? What is the objective of this? What is the technology they are using? What will be the outcome if this product comes into the market and people start using it, or the institutions start using this? Then the assessment of the product and the sustainability of the product. How sustainable that product is. What are the commercial agreements for this? And then there can be some more, like you can subdivide this, etc., and can happen. The point being driven here is you should be asking the questions, the right questions. Okay. Now this is another example, sorry, not another. It is a continuation of the same example, wherein on those sections or on those high level categories, there are detailed questions given here. So I'll just take one example, say technology used in the project. Okay. What resources does your project or program or product require? Okay. What all skill sets you have learned to complete your project work? Okay. Selection criteria. What was the selection criteria for any material use? So there will be a lot of questions behind this. Now, again, a point to emphasize here is any consulting, advisory, mentoring work that happens is all about asking the right questions at the right time. Okay. What I will do is let's play that game. Will not take a lot of time there. What I'm doing is I'm sending one name on chat to Vivek sir personally. Okay. So I'm sorry. Okay. I sent him a name. Okay. I'm sorry. Just let me put my machine on the charging. So I am sending a name to Vivek sir, and you don't know, none of you in this webinar, you know what the name I have sent it. Okay. I want you to ask the questions and try to find out who that person is. Okay. So ask the questions. And maybe Vivek sir can respond, or I can respond to those questions. So ask us the questions so that you will be able to guess the name of that person. Very widely open situation. Huh? Okay. So first question is male or female. So I'll answer male. Okay. Is that name is one of the participants? No. Okay. So it is not one of the participants, and it is a male. Dead or alive? Yes, it is alive. Celebrity? Yes, it is a celebrity. That person is a celebrity. Come on, go on asking the questions. You need to find the name of that person. Actually, this game is played in a very different way when we take some team building activities. Okay. Okay. So is it a sports person, cricketer, which domain? So I will tell or I will say as entertainment industry. Yes, film star, entertainment industry. Age above 50. Okay. See, now here, Kamal, you have given the direct answer. So what happened here is you assume, you fell into that trap of assumption. You remember we saw that ego, assumption, group thinking, etc. So you fell into the trap of assumption. Okay. So do you have enough information to assume a name? Right now, we only know the person is celebrity, the person is male, the person is alive, the person is above 50. And if the person is from entertainment industry. Okay. Any recent movie released of that guy? No, not in at least last couple of years. Okay, English movie star. Yes, English movie star. The person is from Hollywood. In which film he worked? He has worked in many films. And if I give you the name of the film, you will be able to guess the person. Okay. Again, I would answer. Did win any Oscar? No, I'm not very sure about that. But I'll give the name of the name of the films. In this guy he worked. He worked in A Walk in the Clouds. It's again a Hollywood movie, and he worked in Speed, the first Speed. Yes, he's Keanu Reeves. Okay, very simple, short exercise used at multiple places in multiple trainings. Okay, generally what they do is, one person will sit, they'll put a sticker, they'll write a name or place or something, put it on the forehead of the person. So the person on whose forehead it is, the person doesn't know, and then the person needs to ask the questions, and the audience will give the answer yes or no. But yes, the guess is right here. See, this is how we actually funneled our options. You applied some critical thinking here. It is as easy as that, and it could be as difficult as defining our budget. Okay, it takes time, it takes resources, they need to please everybody, etc., etc. So that's a difficult process, right? So, and I'll go back again to my starting statement. So that's the reason, or that's the fact that we all do critical thinking in every situation, every aspect, every day. We keep on doing the critical thinking. The depth, the breadth, the intensity, the severity, it all depends on when and where and who and why are answered. Right? These are some of the characteristics of critical thinking. Right? You should go for reasoning, identifying, analyzing, reflecting, and evaluating. I think we went through this in the earlier slides also. Right, and this is a method wherein you will keep on asking the question. So who, what, where. So all the W's and H, that's fine. We know, we somewhere in our college or maybe professional life we have learned this. But what questions should I ask under who? So who benefits? To whom this is harmful? Who is getting most affected? Under when I need to accept, when will this be acceptable? When will we get the benefit out of this? So there are so many questions further down the line of this all W's and H that we should be asking. So as I said, critical thinking is nothing but asking the right questions and gathering the information before you make a decision. Okay. All right. So again, these are some of the levels, and if any of you are interested, I'll share this PPT so you can refer this.
Can you just explain that?
Sorry.
That levels, I think, a little bit about.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. Again, there is nothing great. I haven't invented anything here. There was a guy, Bloom, who actually developed this taxonomy for teachers, for faculties, and almost all faculties or teachers who get trained as a teacher, they will learn this. Okay. What they say is your thinking goes through this level. Okay, what this taxonomy says is it goes through this level. Okay, you try to remember. Okay, you try to remember how many, who was it, what happened after that. So you try to remember, you try to understand, you try to apply what you have remembered and understood. Then you try to analyze. After applying, you start analyzing it. Okay. Then you try to evaluate, and then you try to create. A simple example, my son is 8 years old. And recently I taught him, how to switch on our cooking gas. Okay, matchstick leke, matchstick jala do, and then how to switch on the gas. So What he did was the same thing. And I was amazed to see that. He remembered first that what I need to do. Step 1, 2, 3, 4. Then he understood why I have to do it. Because when I said turn the knob, first he remembered to left. And then he asked me, okay, what will happen if I turn it to right? Or how much left should I, do that? Then he applied it. Then he actually did that. Okay, he followed those steps. He did those actions. Then he analyzed in his mind that, okay, if I do it this way, if I keep the ignited stick, facing down, then what will happen? Facing up, what will happen? How do I, or how fast I should take it near to the gas burner? All he analyzed. So he calculate in his mind the time, the speed that he, with which he needs to do those actions, right? Then he evaluated, okay, अगर मैंने ऐसे किया तो सब ठीक है, अगर मैंने वो उल्टा पकड़ा तो problem है. So he evaluated. Okay. Then he asked me, okay, how did I do it? So he took external help also to evaluate. And now he has his own way to switch on the gas in the kitchen. So he created that for himself. Correct? So this is a very generic but universally applicable concept, which we do it in almost all the aspects of whatever we do, but many a times it goes unnoticed. It becomes our reflex action. Okay. I'm trying to keep examples away from corporate life, because we are there. We do that every day and day out. Okay. Okay. Right. So this was a very, I would say, brief overview about critical thinking. Now, if I want to improve in this area, or if I want to be more aware of how I'm thinking, right? There are so many friends, there are so many tools and techniques and methods available, correct? Out of that, the first is this one, rational emotive behavior therapy. What it says is there is some triggering event, there is some activating event, okay? And then there are beliefs. Okay. Every person, as we grow, every individual, every animal for that matter, will have some beliefs. Why our pets are more friendly with us than a stranger? There are beliefs that they develop in their mind. And these beliefs, they come out of different experiences, different feelings, all sort of things, right? So when an event happens, the belief comes into picture, and that triggers my emotional response. Okay. If my belief is very constructive, helpful, positive, etc., well and good. But if my belief is on a negative side, if it is not being fair, if it is not accommodative, all those negative points that what we saw, if my belief is one of that, it becomes disruptional or disturbing. Okay. So what we need to do is change this disputing or irrational beliefs, or those which are negative ones, which are not giving me the expected results. I need to take a pause in my thoughts, identify such beliefs, change it, and then I will get to see the new expected behavior. And then I can say that, yes, I did think critically in this particular situation. As simple as that, intercaste marriages. As simple as that, my son wants to, go towards, say, medical side, and I want my son to complete his engineering because I am engineer. So there is a belief that because I am engineer, my father was engineer, okay, my son also needs to go and complete his engineering. Now that's an irrational belief, because my son may not have that talent, and I haven't taken any efforts to conform, to gather the data, what talents, what interest he has. Right? So I'm bringing irrational beliefs. Now what I need to do is take a pause between my thoughts. Okay. And then go ahead. Then there is something called as a mindfulness. Again, many a times this gets attached or related to yoga, but mindfulness is nothing but being present in that moment. Okay, if you are present in that moment, the rest of the things will fall in place. That is as simple as being mindful. Okay. Then the third friend is metacognition. Okay. What happens is, okay, let me first, sorry, awareness and understanding of one's own thought process. Okay. मैं ऐसा सोचता हूं, I think it this way. Being aware of this thing is very important. I myself have learned this over a long period of time, that I used to be a very guarded person, or afraid of being judged. Okay, so I never go on stage in a party and dance there. Why? Because I'm afraid of being judged as a good or a bad dancer. All right. So in this case, I am aware about my own thought process. Now, what is the benefit of this is, if I am aware, I can keep that aside if that is harmful. Correct. Again, this metacognition in particular needs maybe a deep discussion, or maybe it's a separate topic to get into. But if, in simple words, if you start being aware and understand your own thoughts, correct. In my childhood, I have seen so many cricket matches. Later, I changed, and now I don't even read the news about cricket. Why? Because something happened which I didn't like. It was against my principle, etc., etc. So I am aware now. If somebody says, "Okay, how come you don't like cricket?" I don't feel like I'm judged, because I know what has happened. I am aware of my changed thoughts. Correct. Maybe sometime else we'll connect again for critical thinking and metacognition, bringing it together. Then in our corporate life, I think most of you will be knowing this visual brainstorming tool. So this is like a mind map. You put the problem statement in center, and you list down all the positives at one side, negatives at one side, what resources need this, etc. So my mind maps are very useful technique, can be used in many different ways. Then a fishbone diagram, correct? Visual brainstorming tool. This also I'm very sure everybody is familiar with. The cause so on one side your problem is there, and then you list down the causes. Okay. Then this is gap filling. Okay, what is the current situation, and what is the future situation you want it to be? And this is the basis of entire consulting industry, at least in IT. That's what I have seen. Okay. You read the current situation, you get, or you define, you visualize, you imagine the future situation. Then this is SWOT. Again, we know it, correct? Then this is what you say, the star diagram, right? You put the problem in the center, and then you define who, what, when, where, how, correct? Concept maps are like learning and teaching technique that is used to identify the relationships between ideas and concepts. Many of these tools are taught or introduced during MBA days. That's what at least I have experienced, if not in college. But these things are to be taught, in my personal opinion, to children. Okay, so this should start from that age. Okay. Now, the greatest example of critical thinking is Bhagavad Gita. Okay. I will leave you with this thought, because I would like you to think about why this is the greatest example, why I'm saying this. So I will leave you with this thought. Okay. And I will get into if there are any questions. Okay. So this is my last slide. So please ask the questions, and at the same time, please also try to tell me what this is. Okay, there is a question. Please suggest good books on critical thinking and share PPT. Okay, so PPT, yes, you will receive the PPT. Yes, I'll share some good books on critical thinking. There are so many. There are literally hundreds of it, but yeah, I'll share some good ones. Will metacognition be a criteria for leaders and employees be more conducive to DEI initiative in any company? I think I'll have to take this with you in person, try to understand a little more background, Surya. Maybe we can connect after this. How to overcome the fear of being judged with critical thinking.
But
Start.
you can answer partly that. Will the metacognition be a criteria for leaders?
I think, in my personal opinion, that is going to be the basis of it. Okay, that is going to be the basis of a good leader, because till the time you don't understand yourself, you don't understand why you think in the way you think or why you act in the way you act, and till the time you have not accepted yourself in that particular mold, you cannot lead others. Okay, so it is again, in my personal opinion, it is the basis for the leader. Okay. Sorry, how to overcome the fear of being judged with critical thinking? Start the process, get into that metacognition word, and that will happen as a natural course of your of that particular process of your practice. Okay. Is concept map similar to brain mapping? Yes. Yes, more or less. Okay, rational versus critical thinking. Rational versus critical thinking. Rational thinking, I don't think we should say versus. I would say they need to go hand in hand, because till the time you start rational thinking, you really can't reach to a level wherein you can say that, yeah, I am able to think critically, or I'm able to take very informed decisions.
I think critical thinking is a rational thinking. No.
I would say rational thinking is one of the aspects of reaching to the
critical.
level of critical thinking. Okay, but it is not only the one. Okay. Symbols on the screen are reload directions. Okay, any other thoughts on these symbols?
I have to learn critical thinking, then I will tell you.
Okay, so a big thank you. And those symbols were nothing but some letters in the font windings. Okay, let me. Sorry, I'm going to do this on the screen itself. Just getting into. So what I will do is I'm going to change the. Wait, what happened? I'm sorry. See, can you see the windings 3? That's the font I had selected. Okay, why it is so slow? Okay, let's say I change the font.
This cannot be discovered from critical thinking. Or can we?
We can. So I'm at the end of the. So I said I'm at the end of the presentation. I said, let there be some questions that whatever you have. Generally, when I attend any presentations, any webinars, or somebody's presenting something, the last will be Q&A. So it could have been guessed. I'm not saying that.
Guessed, actually.
Yeah, it can be guessed. So estimating or imagining is one of the things of critical thinking.
Right. Thank you,
Thank
Mahesh.
you so
I will
much.
go to Dr. Jabhai to close this session. Dr. Jabhai, please.
Yes, I take this opportunity to give my vote of thanks. And really, the session was excellent. Through the session, we could understand the experience and practical aspects, whatever sir has shared, and also his experience, which has talked and explained all the terminologies related to critical thinking. Sir has talked about when to say I am thinking, and then how to nurture this critical thinking characteristics. And also in teaching field, we are applying this Bloom's taxonomy for whatever we are teaching. So understanding of students and judging it as a Bloom's taxonomy, it was very much relevant, sir. Related to this REBP concept, and also different techniques, whatever you have explained, like mind map and different aspects related to whatever time, then solution and a situation and the person, how it varies. Also, what are the things which has to be left, avoid, and also key applicable areas of problem solving. So really, sir, it was a wonderful session, and all participants, I hope they have liked it, and they will be again reflecting back, and with this question and answers and your questions, whatever you have placed as a playing of 3 to 4 case studies and asking, it was interactive, and also a lot of questions you have answered. So I thank you, and from this Project Managers Club Pune and from College of Engineering, College of this COEP Technological University, Department of Manufacturing and Industrial Management, we thank you, sir, for your excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks to everybody. This
And-
was
and-
very participative and interactive. Thank you, Vivek sir, for inviting
And
me.
I think one important information Dr. Jebhai should give, I think he pointed this, I'm not sure how many people have really noticed it, that COEP has become a university now. So
Yes.
can you give 2 words on that so that people know that what are the developments at COEP?
Right, sir. So now COEP on 25 June 2022, it became a unitary university, technical university of government of Maharashtra. And now from autonomous status, it has become a full-fledged university. So all the activities, it will be like a regular university which we will be having. So affiliation earlier we were having with Savitribai Phule Pune University, but now it will be our own university having all the technical aspects, and it will be managed. So we'll be having vice chancellor and all deans and different schools of this engineering at our place. We may conduct different executive programs, executive degree programs, master programs, UG programs. We need not require any approvals from different agencies as such. So those are the things which we have now as a unitary university of government of Maharashtra. It has become a statutory body, and we will be running many courses. So this is new advancement, and our program also, sir, this Project Managers Club Pune. Yes, we are running it online, but few of the times we will be going with the physical mode also. Now it is back to regular mode. So we can have at our campus, and people, all the executives and project managers, they can see the changes which are happening at COEP Technological University.
Great, sir. Thank you very much. And I'm sure that these working executives who have joined us, they have a lot of things, more education can get from the COEP now as a university. So I'm hopeful that you will offer some courses to these people also to develop their skills.
Definitely, sir. And also that logo has changed, so I will share that logo for next upcoming programs, so as to have.
Please. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Mahesh. Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
all the
Thank you,
participants
everyone.
for taking out time and joining here.
Thank you, sir.